General Hospital spoilers claim that some ex-partners are getting closer and may be on the verge of reconnecting. Soap couples frequently reunite, but this isn't always a positive development. Let's talk about 3 reunions that should never happen, at least if the people involved seek true happiness. These former lovers must keep away, or they will repeat their mistakes. 1. Jordan and Curtis. For starters, we have Jordan Ashford and Curtis Ashford. Curtis harshly condemned Jordan for maintaining work-related secrets, and their marriage dissolved. Jordan has no reason to put himself through additional misery if Curtis hasn't learned from his mistakes. Curtis is now being too harsh with Portia Robinson, thus it is unlikely that he will treat Jordan properly if he exchanges his present wife for his previous one. It just seems like a horrible idea for Curtis and Jordan to go down that road again. 2. Rick and Elizabeth. Rick Lansing and Elizabeth Baldwin's reunion would be a disaster waiting to happen. Liz is still dealing with her divorce with Lucky Spencer, and the fact that he has left Port Charles. Elizabeth should focus on healing her own heart rather than giving it to Rick to break. Rick and Ava Jerome's relationship may end, but it doesn't mean he should get back together with Liz, as that would only lead to bad news. All of Rick's blackmail drama is bound to explode up and enrage Elizabeth, so it's best to avoid any potential reunion and further heartbreak. Sonny Corinthos and Carly Spencer have been getting closer in recent months, and some fans are wondering if they'll be a relationship again. Carly and Jack Brennan's romance is doomed owing to the lies he keeps concerning Jocelyn Jacks, but it doesn't mean she should return to Sonny. Carly and Sonny's prior attempts to establish a long-term relationship have failed. Sonny and this version of Carly have never had much chemistry, so it might be best to limit their relationship to friendship and co-parenting. Furthermore, it might be pleasant for soap exes to be able to remain friends without having to embark on a romantic journey for the 100th time. Carly and Sonny will always care for one another, but maybe they should keep doing it as friends rather than lovers. According to General Hospital spoilers, some love life changes are still in the works, so keep an eye out for updates on all the highs and lows. In a community like Port Charles, love stories do not end gently. They linger in the corridors of General Hospital, stalk the Metro Court, and permeate every hushed conversation at Kelly's. Some couples are destined to reunite against the odds, thriving on passion, reconciliation, and forgiveness. However, not all reunions are good ideas. Some previous fires were toxic, volatile, or simply too damaged to be saved. And while fans enjoy a good romantic twist, there are a few couples whose reunion would only rekindle old wounds and throw everyone around them into new upheaval. Take for example Elizabeth Weber and Rick Lansing. There was a moment when their relationship appeared promising, when Rick provided Elizabeth with a consistent affection that contrasted with her turbulent past. He was educated, ambitious, and charming, and he knew exactly what to say. For a while Elizabeth thought she discovered someone who could ground her, someone who would never leave, unlike the others. But Rick's polished facade concealed a deeply manipulative man who frequently crossed hazardous lines in the name of love. The reality about Rick was that he never grasped the distinction between love and control. He wanted Elizabeth on his terms, in his world, and under his control. And when she slid away, when she picked someone else or dared to think for herself, Rick saw it as betrayal rather than sadness. He devised intricate deceptions, manipulated judicial systems, and even interfered with people's lives and deaths to achieve his goals. His activities grew darker over time, ending in falsehoods so harmful that Elizabeth could no longer imagine a future with him, no matter how many times he claimed to have changed. Elizabeth has developed in ways that Rick never did. She's been through tremendous hardship, from losing children to almost dying more times than she can count, and she's grown into a woman of remarkable strength and compassion. She does not need to be rescued. She does not need to be controlled. Most importantly, she does not need to go backwards. A reconciliation with Rick, however heartfelt it may appear, would only undo the gains she's made. The man who had declared he loved her above all else repeatedly destroyed her heart. Even if Rick returned with promises of reform, Elizabeth has already learned that trusting him again never ends well. Then there's the delicate situation between Lulu Spencer and Dante Falconeri. On the surface, their narrative was one of Port Charles's most popular romances. She was Luke and Laura's fiery legacy daughter. He was a moody cop with a firm moral compass and a heart that beat for his family. Together they endured storms of infidelity, betrayal, health problems and endless secrets. Their love was frequently raw and authentic, and it was enough to keep them together for years. But the fissures were always there, hidden beneath the layers of allegiance and heritage. Dante's profession frequently took him away from home, both physically and emotionally. His dedication to justice sometimes meant abandoning Lulu in her worst hours. She, in turn, resented being left behind, feeling like an afterthought in a life she was meant to be creating with her spouse. When she did act out, her behavior was frequently chaotic, self-destructive, and dangerous, putting additional strain on their relationship. The ultimate blow came when Dante left Port Charles on a mission that no one completely understood, including himself. Lulu was left to raise their children, keep up appearances, and try to save a marriage that had already failed in everything but name. His absence compelled Lulu to grow independent, to find who she was without him. For a while she did. But just as she was regaining her footing, Dante returned, broken, hardened, and haunted by what he had seen and done. Their attempts at reconciliation were terrible to witness. Both had changed dramatically, and neither understood how to communicate anymore. Dante's tragedy made him closed off and irritated, whilst Lulu's tenacity left her resentful and emotionally unstable. The love was still there, hidden beneath layers of regret and nostalgia, but it had transformed into something unrecognizable, a shared agony rather than a shared future. With Lulu remaining in a coma and Dante attempting to move on with Sam, the idea of restarting their relationship feels forced. If Lulu awakens, the desire to reignite their flame will be strong, for the sake of the children, the history, and the legacy. But it would be a mistake. Some stories might not require sequels. Closure is not always a bad thing. Dante and Lulu taught each other valuable lessons, but they also caused significant emotional distress. To reconcile them would be to recreate past patterns, which neither of them deserve anymore. Then there's Ava Jerome and Sonny Corinthos, who are like a wildfire. Their relationship was always based on tension, vengeance, and intense physical chemistry. They were foes before they were lovers, drawn together by desperation, secrets, and a complicated child they both claimed to care for. For a brief period, their relationship appeared to be redemptive. Ava softened in Sonny's presence, exhibiting sensitivity beneath her harsh demeanor. Sonny, in turn, found something in Ava that reminded him of Carly. Fierce, passionate, and unpredictable. But if there is one thing that characterizes Ava and Sonny's relationship, it is destruction. Their love, if you can call it that, was a weapon. Every kiss they shared had a threat woven into it. Each ceasefire was only temporary. Sonny disliked Ava's habit of manipulating circumstances to her advantage, especially after her involvement in Morgan's death was revealed. Sonny could not forgive that betrayal. He may have made his way back to her physically, but an emotional barrier had always been between them. Their dynamic is based on pain. Even their attempts at civility are fraught with hate and distrust. They are hazardous together, not only to one another but to everyone around them. Ava has attempted to grow. She's formed a friendship with Trina, bonded with her daughter, and reconciled with parts of her past. Meanwhile, Sonny has been battling his own problems, including betrayal, divorce, and strained family connections. Reuniting these two would result in chaos. Ava would lose the ground she'd won, reverting to the version of herself who thrived on conflict. Sonny would slide, entangling his already delicate psyche in a romance doomed to fail. Their passion may be intense, but it scorches everything it touches. A reconciliation may be tempting, especially given how alone both of them feel right now, but it would be a nightmare waiting to happen. In the soap opera world, there's an inherent draw to reigniting ancient romances. Fans enjoy nostalgia, and writers frequently draw on history for emotional impact. However, keeping certain couples apart might be a form of mercy, not only for the characters, but also for the audience, who has seen them self-destruct repeatedly. Rick and Elizabeth were based on lies. Dante and Lulu were shattered by time and trauma. Ava and Sonny were poisoned from the beginning. Bringing them back together would be regressive rather than romantic. Port Charles is full of new opportunities and love stories ready to be told. Elizabeth deserves a spouse who supports her development. Dante deserves a relationship that does not pull him back into the past. Ava deserves someone who views her as a woman seeking repentance, not as a threat or conquest. These reunions may tear at the emotions, but they will come at a heavy cost. The past belongs where it is, behind them. Let new beginnings emerge, free from the ashes of the past. In a community where love is always a gamble, these risks are just not worth taking. General Hospital teasers for the week of June 23, 2025 indicate a lot of twists and turns. Fans should expect Vaughn to attempt to intercept Emma Scorpio Drake. Meanwhile, Willow Tate Corinthos will respond to Drew Kane's marriage proposal. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap drama. Willow Tate Corinthos' marriage answer. After losing custody of Wiley and Amelia Corinthos, Drew devised another extreme plan. Willow, who is emotionally numb, is trying to comprehend everything when Drew unexpectedly offers her a solution. Drew has proposed that they marry. The nurse is likely hesitant and knows in her heart that this is not appropriate. Drew will, however, continue to claim that it is her greatest chance of recovering custody. If Willow says yes, Nina Reeves will go absolutely insane. Nina and Drew's intimate relationship should eventually be exposed. Of course, Drew may call a judge to marry them right away. Drew might argue that the faster and quieter it is, the less risk of someone intruding. So maybe Nina won't find out until it's too late? Michael Corinthos' prediction. Over with Michael. He just discovered that Drew is blackmailing Portia Robinson. Curtis Ashford hopes Drew will make a mistake and plans to be there to catch it. Michael prophesied that Drew will make a mistake at some point. Emma Scorpio Drake intercepted. According to General Hospital teasers, Jocelyn Jacks pushed Vaughn to join Emma's animal rights group. The handler will try to make Emma think they are similar. Of course, the ultimate goal is to earn Emma's trust. I'm not sure how easy that will be. Emma told Jocelyn how she felt betrayed by her. Emma has also made it apparent that she is not a trustworthy person. So I'm not sure if she'll fall for Vaughn's fake friendship. Week of June 23, 2025. Next week, fans will find out what happened to newborn Daisy Gilmore Corinthos. A preview clip for this week's episode depicts a mystery figure lurking over Daisy's bassinet. Is this a kidnapper? Or someone Sasha can trust? We'll find out more next week, so stay tuned. Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing in the week of June 23, 2025? Share your opinions in the comments area below. Remember to keep watching ABC's soap opera to see what happens next. The week of June 23 to 27th on General Hospital offers high-stakes drama, emotional confrontations, and life-altering decisions as Port Charles residents face a vital crossroads. From intercepted messages to marriage ultimatums and disturbing prophecies, the activity in Port Charles shows no signs of letting up. Emma intercepted. Emma Drake's life takes a perilous turn when her communications are intercepted by an unknown person. Someone is keeping a close eye on her as she navigates her delicate relationships, particularly those with her parents, Robin Scorpio and Patrick Drake. It is unclear if this is a well-meaning ally or a nefarious foe, but the intrusion into Emma's private suggests that she is in great danger. Fans debate whether this is related to a returning villain or a new menace lurking in Port Charles. Emma's brains and resourcefulness may prevent her from succumbing to defeat, but the question remains, who is after her and why? Meanwhile, her grandfather, Robert Scorpio, may intervene to investigate, given his history of espionage and family protection. If Emma's interception is part of a broader plan, the Scorpio Drake family could become the focus of a significant drama. Will Anna Devane get involved? Or is this Robert's single mission? Emma's life is on the line. Willow's marriage answer. Willow Corinthos has been struggling with her love for Michael Corinthos and the future of their marriage. After weeks of tension, misunderstandings, and outside influence, Willow ultimately makes a decision that will either reconcile their divided family or tear them apart forever. Michael has been keen to demonstrate his love and dedication, but Willow's uncertainty indicates deeper wounds that may not be readily healed. With Wiley stuck in the midst, the couple's decision will have long-lasting consequences. If Willow decides to give their marriage another opportunity, they will have to deal with the trust difficulties that have plagued them. However, if she walks away, Michael may plummet, potentially leading to a custody battle involving Carly, Drew, and even Nina Reeves. Willow's strength has been tested numerous times, and her decision may shape her character's direction for months to come. Harmony's lasting influence, and the secret she carried to the grave, could still have an impact on Willow's decision. Will Sarah achieve closure? Or will unresolved trauma propel her into a new beginning without Michael? Fans are on edge waiting to see which path she chooses. Michael's prediction. Michael Corinthos has always been a shrewd thinker, but his latest forecast may send shockwaves through Port Charles. Michael's instincts are generally spot on when it comes to Sonny's company, Dex's loyalty, or a new corporate threat, but this time he may have overestimated the risk. His warning could be ignored, resulting in devastating consequences for those he loves about. If Michael anticipates a betrayal within the family, will he act quickly, or will his indecision cost him everything? With Jason Morgan's return still vivid in everyone's minds, Michael may be suspicious of any new relationships forming around Sonny. Could Dex Heller's true allegiance be called into question again? Is there a new player in town who offers an even bigger threat? Michael's forecast may also be related to the current conflict between Sonny and Cyrus Renaud. If Cyrus attempts another power push, Michael's insight may be the only thing standing between peace and total war in Port Charles. But with so many factors at play, even the most well-thought-out strategies can fail, and Michael may soon find out the hard way. Other Port Charles developments. While Emma, Willow, and Michael steal the spotlight, the other characters will confront their own trials. Nina Reeves is still adjusting to life after jail, but her previous acts continue to haunt her. With Drew Kane back in the picture and tensions between her and Carly growing, Nina's quest for redemption may face another setback. Meanwhile, Dex Heller is divided between his job and his developing love for Jocelyn Jax. As their hidden relationship becomes more difficult to conceal, the risk of exposure increases, especially since Sonny Corinthos is always on the lookout. If Dex's cover is broken, the consequences could be fatal. On the medical front, Elizabeth Weber and Hamilton Finn are navigating their complicated romance, but outside influences threaten their happiness. With Finn's past emerging and Elizabeth's own mental health issues, their friendship will be challenged like never before. Final thoughts. The week of June 23rd to 27th on General Hospital is full with suspense, sadness, and surprising twists. The drama in Port Charles hits new heights, with Emma's intercepted messages, Willow's life-changing decision, and Michael's terrible forecast. As alliances change and secrets are revealed, one thing is certain: nothing will ever be the same. The General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, June 19th, state that Sonny Corinthos will square off against Jen Sidwell. Sonny will push for answers about Sidwell's agenda, but he will be disappointed with the response. Sidwell wants to cut off Sonny's influence in Port Charles, and may be willing to go to any length to do this. Sonny will become protective of his family, and he will make it plain that anyone who puts them in danger will not live to tell the tale. At some point, it appears that Sidwell will press Marco Rios into a transaction that would contradict with his affections for his son. Marco hopes to help Natalia Ramirez avoid criminal charges, but will she be willing to turn on Sonny and help the detectives arrest him? It will be intriguing to see how things play out, as Natalia's new life in Belize remains on the table. It's even feasible that Sidwell may erase Natalia from the map and blame it on Sonny, effectively eliminating his opponent. Other GH teasers state that Trina Robinson will vent her aggravation with Drew Kane and receive comfort from Jocelyn Jax. Trina will agree with Jocelyn that someone must stop Drew, and she will guarantee it will happen. Drew will present Kai Taylor with a new proposal. Kai can't play football anymore because his surgery didn't go as smoothly as hoped. Drew may encourage Kai to pursue a political career instead, promising that he can open many doors for him. Meanwhile, Michael Corinthos will update Jason Morgan on his recent conversation with Sasha Gilmore Corbin, who has not changed her mind about rearing Daisy Gilmore Corinthos herself. Jason will question if Michael can genuinely live with that, but Michael may be more determined to follow Sasha's demands. Michael can find solace in the fact that Daisy will recognize him as her father, and that Sasha isn't simply ignoring him. Of course, we should add a troubling moment in Thursday's preview video, in which a strange figure approaches Daisy in her cot. This should be the same individual that was spying outside the house and caused the nursery mix-up. Willow Tate is constantly off-screen, relaxing while Daisy-related things occur. The GH writers could be setting up a story in which Willow's mental health problems escalate due to blackouts and strange movements. Daisy, however, will most likely be safe for the time being despite this crib spy. Daisy will be the focal point of a baptism service in the near future. Next, Isaiah Gannon and Lulu Spencer will meet over cocktails to drown their sorrows together. Lulu and Isaiah are both disappointed that Lucky Spencer is leaving town, even if it is in his best interest. However, Isaiah and Lulu may relate over love issues as well. Since Jordan Ashford drove Isaiah away and Lulu shattered her opportunity for a Dante Falconeri reunion, it's understandable that Isaiah and Lulu could sympathize. Jordan will concentrate on Curtis Ashford and his tumultuous relationship. Jordan will provide Anna Devane with updates while they enjoy their own drinks. During this conversation, Jordan will admit that she is unsure of her thoughts about Curtis' deteriorating marriage to Portia Robinson. This could be an opportunity for Jordan to reconcile with Curtis, but is it a good idea? Jordan will have a lot to say, and Anna will serve as a sounding board. According to General Hospital spoilers, Jordan and Curtis may become further closer in the coming weeks, which could spell bad news for Portia. Thursday, June 19th in Port Charles was anything from ordinary, with tensions rising amongst some of the city's most influential families and loyalties being tested at every turn. Drew Kane had been working discreetly, away from the attention of the Quartermain estate and the Corinthos spotlight. He'd spent the last 6 weeks rethinking his role in Port Charles, not just as a businessman, not just as Scout's father, but as someone who had attempted to play it straight in a community where morality was a commodity that was easily spent and rarely returned. It was not easy for Drew. Since his return, he's felt tugged in too many directions. Carly was fighting to hold on to what remained of her world. Michael was coping with the tricky balancing act of his role in Aurora and his strained familial connections. And there was Jason, who had lately returned to Port Charles and was already facing questions about his loyalty and silence. But Drew had his own plan, one he hadn't completely divulged, not even to those closest to him. He'd been keeping a close eye on ELQ and Aurora's losing grip on the media market, and he saw potential in their weakness. But unlike his earlier attempts to stabilize the company with good intents and noble ideals, Drew was thinking more like Quartermain, ruthlessly and tactically. He was aware that Port Charles did not reward kind guys. It rewarded the survivors. Drew walked into Michael's office at Aurora on Thursday morning with purpose. Since Jason's return, the animosity between the two men has not completely subsided. Michael had been harboring secrets lately, especially when it came to Jason. Drew could feel the shift. Michael was straining to keep hold of too many plates, and they were starting to wobble. "I've got a new proposal," Drew said, setting down a file thick with estimates, acquisition targets, and what appeared to be a very ambitious framework for a significant business pivot. "We are taking Aurora in a new path. Real estate. Infrastructure. Something substantial. We completely stop participating in entertainment." Michael lifted an eyebrow, evidently taken off guard. "You want to decimate our media department?" "It's bleeding money," Drew stated bluntly. "We're supporting a dying model. You already know it." "I know it. If we continue to wait for the industry to recover, we will drown alongside it." Michael examined the data, but he was not convinced. "This does not explain the timing." "Why now?" Drew paused for a second too long before admitting, "Because we can't rely on Jason forever. And we both know that he is currently a question mark. We have too many variables, Michael. We need to move our assets before someone else does it for us." Drew put it into words for the first time. His growing cynicism in the current system, his concern that Jason, for all his consistency in the past, was no longer a dependable constant in their equation. Michael's gaze clouded. "Do you think Jason is a risk?" "I believe Jason is distracted," Drew stated gently. "And distraction in our world costs money and lives." That was the closest Drew would go to blatant suspicion. He didn't want to say too much just yet. But he could sense Michael's reservations, not about the figures in the proposal, but about the underlying implication that Jason was no longer the cornerstone he once was. After a little pause, Michael nodded, but it was evident he wasn't ready to commit. "Let me think about it." As Drew left, Michael's thoughts were already racing. He trusted Jason, but trust is not the same as clarity. Since Jason's return, there had been some things left unsaid. Secrets remained just beyond of reach. And Michael couldn't afford it, especially right now. Later that day, Michael discovered Jason alone in the Corinthos coffee warehouse, reading security reports. The warehouse had become Jason's improvised sanctuary, A place to anchor himself as he attempted to regain his footing in a world that had not stopped moving without him. Jason looked up as Michael approached, and he could sense something was wrong. "Do you have a minute?" Michael inquired. Jason nodded and laid the report away. "What is going on?" Michael did not sit. He stood opposite from Jason, arms folded and eyes fierce. "I need to ask you something and I want a straight answer." Jason did not flinch. "Okay. Do you work with anyone outside of Port Charles? Is there someone who might be using you for something we don't see?" It wasn't an accusation, yet, but it was a pointed query, and Jason was aware of it. "No," Jason replied. "Not like that." Michael noticed the precise phrasing. "Not like that. What does this mean?" Jason inhaled, evidently considering what he should say. "I had communication with folks while I was away. Some of it is classified. I'm still figuring out how much I can reveal. But I am not working against you. Nothing against the family." Michael studied him. "You realize that's not the same as saying there's nothing to worry about." "I know," Jason said. "But if there was something harmful, you'd have known already. I would not let anything happen to you or the children." That guarantee meant something, but not everything. Michael had become more careful over the past year. His experiences had taught him that even persons with good intentions can make decisions that harm others. He nodded once and added, "Keep me in the loop. No more blind spots." "I agree," Jason answered. Meanwhile, across town, a completely different kind of storm was developing around someone who was considerably less connected but equally involved in the instability of Port Charles. Daisy Kwan had secretly returned to town many weeks earlier. Most individuals had not noticed. Those who recognized her largely from her time in the Dawn of Day cult, and despite her efforts to reinvent herself since then, her history clung to her like a shadow. She worked part-time at the hospital, kept a low profile, and avoided drawing attention. But trouble had a way of finding people in Port Charles, particularly those with tangled past. Daisy arrived for her shift in the records department on Thursday, to see that the entire area had been cordoned off. A water leak prompted the data to be temporarily relocated, and she was assigned to the archives on the lower level to assist with the move. It appeared simple enough. This is just a standard reassignment, but something about it seemed odd. Daisy entered the archive room, and the light flickered. She assumed she was alone until she heard the door click shut behind her. She turned surprised to see a man in his mid-40s wearing a maintenance badge that did not comply with hospital regulations. "Sorry," Daisy murmured hesitantly. "Is this place still off limits?" The man did not respond. Instead, he locked the door behind him. Panic raced through her. "Who are you?" There's still stillness. She stepped back cautiously, attempting to grab for her phone without drawing attention. Before she could call, he lunged. Daisy shouted, but the sound was muffled when he seized her wrist and pushed her against the metal shelf. Her phone clattered on the floor. There's something inherently tragic about watching characters you've grown to love fall back into the same destructive cycles. That's the danger with reunions like Rick and Elizabeth, Dante and Lulu, Ava and Sunny. It's easy to romanticize the passion and history while forgetting the hurt and chaos. But growth means learning from the past, not repeating it. Elizabeth has found strength in herself, not in Rick's shadow. Dante has learned that emotional stability matters more than shared history. Ava, in her darkest moments, has realized she's more than just a femme fatale. She's a mother, a fighter, and someone capable of true change. These characters have worked too hard to rebuild their lives to risk losing it all again for nostalgia's sake. The temptation to reignite familiar flames is real, but so is the damage they leave behind. Port Charles thrives on drama, but some stories are best left in the rearview mirror.